All right, welcome. And now we're going to start talking about something called polar coordinates and the polar coordinate system. Right now, up until now, we've always discussed or described points and things in a plane by using the Cartesian plane or the Cartesian coordinate system, okay, or the rectangular coordinate system using x and y coordinates, right? So we ordered pairs of x and y. Now we're going to introduce another alternative way to describe a point in a plane, okay? So in the x-y coordinate system, in the rectangular or Cartesian coordinate system, we have an origin, right? Everything is with respect to the origin, and we find, hey, how far is that point in the xy direction from an origin? Now we're going to say, hey, what about describing, well, let's just put it this way. We can describe, instead of using x and y, right? How many units do we have to go left and right, and how many units do we have to go up or down to get to a point in the plane? But we can describe it using two other coordinates. One is going to be the directed distance, right? So that's going to be r, the directed distance from the origin O to the point P in the plane. The other coordinate is going to be theta, which is the directed angle, counterclockwise from the polar axis. Now what's the polar axis? The polar axis is going to be this axis right here. So this is called the polar axis. Just like the x-axis is, the starting point, right? The origin, you have the x and y axes. Here, the polar axis is going to be our starting point, okay? So the theta is our directed angle counterclockwise from this polar axis to the line segment OP, okay? Now, the pole, O, is called the pole, right? So here, this is called the pole or the origin, okay? Now, the coordinates that we use, r, comma, theta, these are what we call the polar coordinates. And this is the polar coordinate system, okay? So anytime we describe points using r, comma, theta, we're using the polar coordinate system instead of the rectangular coordinate system that we're used to using. Okay, and that's it. So now we're going to do some examples of how to write things in polar coordinate form.